Welcome to the Home of the Chiefs podcast, where the Chiefs are our home. As you can see, our layout and recording has been slightly altered, but let's hope that you all are enjoying the visual changes for those on YouTube and the audio changes for those who listen on Spotify. As the words say, but if you're not watching, you're only listening. I am Clinton Petrie. I am the co-host of this podcast, and with me, as always, is my lovely partner, Shannon Brush.
Hello.
And thank you for joining us for our second installment of the Home of the Chiefs podcast. We're delighted to have you. If you watched last week's episode, you kind of know what we're about, and some of the other offhand conversations we'd like to have about the Chiefs and what that sort of means to individuals and communities. And I won't say anything official yet, but I want to say that here in the next couple episodes, I will be joined with our first special guest to give her own personal take on history and what the Chiefs mean to her.
That'll be exciting.
And I've also been reached out to by some former friends about their fascination with teams that are not the Chiefs, that are still inside the kingdom. So I want to know from you guys, is hearing stories about somebody's fandom outside of the kingdom and why they are, say, a Chargers fan or a Dallas Cowboys fan or a Broncos fan or a Raiders fan, for instance. If those kind of conversations are still interesting sounding enough to you guys and you would like me to follow through those conversations, let me know. Send your feedback, and I'd be happy to do that. I'm very exciting to talk sports and whatever makes anybody feel nerdy and excited inside.
Yep.
That's what this podcast
That's what
is
it's
all
for.
about.
That's what it's all about.
All
right.
So as we teased in the last episode, I'm going to be discussing my personal connection with the Chiefs Kingdom, approaching the 2019 season ticket membership decision. The decision.
When we decided to make the leap.
I'll take my talents to Arrowhead. So after discuss that, we'll see if we have time in this segment to have Shannon give her fun
that cool story
interaction
I told you guys about
amongst the season ticket 2019 Super Bowl winning season. But all of that coming after we start, as we should and mostly do every first segment, with some Chiefs Twitter news.
Chiefs Twitter news.
And there was quite some doozies this week, and one of them we'll go ahead and kick off with because it was the breaking news yesterday as of us recording this on Friday, May 26th. The Arizona Cardinals released wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh.
And a lot of Chiefs Kingdom were clamoring Brett Veach to make a trade, get that guy in here.
We want him.
See what we want. We want a big time major receiver here.
And
we
need him.
Well, some fan base, you might be on that side that says we need him. I don't know what the Chiefs have in their offense, but before, what was stopping them was money, cash, cap space, how much money DeAndre Hopkins actually wanted to make. And the idea that a championship is actually secondary to him. I am kind of on that side of thinking that he's talked the talk of wanting to play with a Josh Allen, with a Lamar Jackson, with a Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
But if the Chicago Bears with the most cap space in the NFL says you want as much money as Odell has made, or any receiver of that level. If they offer him that type of money, why wouldn't he choose that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he doesn't need to do the Juju approach of, let me go to a really good offense and prove myself to get like a long-term deal done before.
Mm-hmm.
D-Hop has already been in the league long enough to accumulate money, and he's got a big contract. He was on his biggest contract, and
right.
He was let go from it. So he can't expect to make as much money as he made, but I'm sure he assumes he's going to make like at least more than MVS type money,
mm-hmm.
like a 10 million or more a year type number.
Wow.
So if that's still the case, I don't think the Chiefs have any financial means to make that happen.
Yeah, I doubt they do. I don't think they do.
Which I know
is unfortunate.
Scares a lot of the Chiefs Kingdom, because they're like, oh, most of our wide receiver weapons are gone. The ones we used to even last year that won the Super Bowl, some of those weapons are changed. We have some rookies that are coming in this year, Rashee Rice. And then we have essentially the rookies. Tony's not an actual NFL rookie, but to be on the Chiefs, he's a rookie. The Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney tandem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So everyone is either on the camp of those two aren't going to do diddly squat because they haven't proven anything, or they're on the, well, Chiefs haven't done anything because they think they're going to break out. They're going to be 1,000 yards. They're going to be dominant number one wide receivers, even though we've never seen that happen yet. So, and you're not in the weeds as much with the nerdy Chiefs watching camp training videos and watching social media clips put out by the Chiefs of any wide receivers catching balls.
Yeah.
That a lot of the talk is about wide receivers that people speculate might not even make the roster at the end. Like, don't think they're good enough. They're not the names. Like, people are hyping up names like Justin Ross and Josh, the other Ross, Justin Ross and John Ross, the J Rosses.
JJ.
So a lot of people are hyping those two up, but yet then they're also the same crowd that says we need DeAndre Hopkins, we need a big time receiver. The Chiefs are looking to trade for a big time wide receiver. It's like that's a little baby report that's going out. It's like, oh, the Chiefs' biggest need, they still think wide receiver. It's like, if that was the case, why wouldn't they have made decisions?
Exactly. Why wouldn't
show
they
that
have done something different?
They did a lot of things to show that they're comfortable making decisions on who they will let walk out and who was like direly important.
Yeah.
If it's like a Travis Kelce, he would never come to it, but it's like, Travis Kelce is too valuable for this team. We'll do whatever it takes to keep him, because without him, things would be drastically different.
For sure.
We thought the same thing with Tyreek Hill, and then a year later they still win the Super Bowl, just playing slightly different.
Mm-hmm. So
I can't predict how different the offense will look than last year. I could speculate maybe they'll go more 2 tight ends, or maybe change the game and do like some double running back situations or something, just to try to get a matchup they like, because the Chiefs love to throw the ball.
Yes.
And the Kingdom knows that, especially last year, they had a dominant offensive line to just run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl looked tremendously different when they just started pounding the ball almost every play.
Yeah.
And it showed. And Pacheco put on some big boy pants and ran some people over. So you still have to do that part of football.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Reid is the fancy pants finesse guy.
Yep.
If you will.
He's got his little book.
So to transition that conversation, because speaking of Andy Reid had a press conference this week, and he was asked about the NFL kickoff rule change. If you're familiar.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, in college football, you can fair catch a kickoff and the ball will get placed at a certain spot, regardless of how far away, if you were in the end zone, if you were 1 yard away from that spot, if you were at the 1 yard line, it doesn't matter. The ball gets placed at the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So now the NFL is adopting that change.
Same mindset.
Of you kicked it off. If you fair catch signal anywhere from the 25-yard line back, that's where you start it.
So that is very controversial. I've been hearing that nobody really likes this rule change. And also, Andy Reid himself said that it sounds like we're going back to like flag football rules.
Mm-hmm. And most of the other coaches that already talked for their press conferences for training camp, one is the Detroit Lions coach, who the head coach was a former special teams coordinator, and then John Harbaugh is also a former special teams coordinator. So they are not a fan of that activity being removed. And the Kelsey brothers, the New Heights podcast, they talked about that.
They talked about it. They expressed their concerns.
And I'm with Travis. There's nothing better in Arrowhead Stadium than kicking off Harrison Butker. You guys start me up, and we all go boom when that ball gets kicked.
Yep.
And
that's what everyone goes there for. That's what, like, it all starts with that.
It's all the theatrics of I'm here, I'm feeling it. We're all together. We're all enjoying this same thing. We're here to have a good time.
Yeah. And it's nothing about, like, we don't want the players to get hurt. Like, Damar Hamlin, that was a freak accident, and that was something that we were all scared about, and we don't want that ever to happen. But I don't think this is the way to go, just because it's taking away so much of that aspect of football itself.
And that play wasn't even on a kickoff or special teams. That was just a freak offensive defensive play. So
it can happen, honestly, in any sport, in any physical activity you do.
Of course. And who's to say that an injury can't take place on every NFL play, regardless of what it is? We've seen our fearless leader get hurt on a QB sneak, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
The thing that Jalen Hurts did nonstop last year to almost win a Super Bowl, Andy Reid won't ever allow again because of one freak accident. So we're letting freak accidents decide things that aren't the normal. I mean, just because one event occurred, it's starting to contradict everything else. Like, it can just be the one outlier, and those suck. You can't predict those, but you also can't legislate stuff like that from not occurring whatsoever.
Exactly. You can't, like, overcorrect yourself and be like, oh, now we have to wrap all the players in bubble wrap and they can't ever fall down and they can't ever get hurt.
Yep.
It's not kind of
flag football.
Like
we're not even going to tackle each other. We're all just going to wear flags. And the whole thing is, why have a kickoff if everyone's going to fair catch, and why kick off in the first place? Why even have the kicking off? Why not just elect to send the offense on the field right away? Like, why waste the time?
Why waste that time, like that minute or so that you're getting from, or however long, so like a minute or 30 seconds.
I mean, it's
probably like a minute.
It's like 45 seconds to a minute from like the actual kick to when the first when the offense gets on the field and the play clock starts and they start actually getting ready to play. At this point, you can make the game faster by just asking the question, do you want to kick off, yes or no? And there would probably be teams that would say, we're never going to kick off. So
they would elect
if our defense gives up a score of any kind, you know that we're going to take our offense and we're going to plant our butts right at the 25-yard line and start there. And I don't know. It gives the NFL what they want, very quarterback focused, but it takes away a fun aspect that we have. I mean, the Chiefs playoff wins, the first win since the 90s, over 20 years, kicked off with a kickoff touchdown
Mm-hmm.
by the Chiefs. And it's like, okay, well, we'll probably never have a moment like that again. The Super Bowl had literally the first play of the game start with a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Take away moments like that.
Yeah, that's like the magical moment that you wouldn't get back. If you took that away, there's nothing there.
It's like, how much can you argue player safety when what are you trying to keep players safe from? We don't want players to be injured on a kickoff, but we're totally fine with having them play 2 games in the span of 7 days.
Yeah.
We're fine if
goodness.
they take 4 days, less than 3 days of rest. So they care about things that affect on the field, but off the field, they can continue to be ignorant about it and say, we didn't contribute to that. That's not our business.
Mm-hmm. Or they just don't think about it or don't want to.
Yep. So to transition to our second to last topic for Chiefs Twitter, the same day Andy Reid had a press conference, our fearless leader Patrick Mahomes also had his press conference, and Pro Football Talk and some others speculated Mahomes wants he wants a new contract. He wants to be paid more. He wants this. He wants that. He's got to be more than Joe Burrow. He's got to make more than Jalen Hurts. Blah blah blah. And then he goes up for the press conference and gets asked about it, and he says, "I'm just here to win.
Yeah,
my legacy is. I'm here for my legacy, and my wealth is set for the rest of my life. So, money is not the most important thing."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So any of those that said Patrick's going to be upset, Patrick's going to demand something, Patrick's like, yes, we want to keep him happy. They're like, in a few years, the money for his contract is going to get like reworked and probably add 3 to 5 more years on the back of his contract anyway to keep him here even longer.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be like, oh, Patrick's strapped for cash or the Chiefs are being frugal and not paying him. It is trying to find that Tom Brady happy medium.
Yeah.
Like he'll get paid a certain amount for actually being on the field by the team he plays for. And then he gets a lot more money from the things he does off the field and the good things he does off the field to get known for that. That he's like, just make sure I'm in the ballpark. Like, don't insult my intelligence. Don't insult my abilities by letting me be exactly middle tier. But if I'm within the top 10 to 12, and then you adjust that to be top 7 or 8 every so often, they're like, that's not asking for much. And the Chiefs are like, that's like, you are clearly the number one. And if you're allowing us to pay you less than number one, then we will gladly oblige that and kiss your feet while we do it and give you everything you want.
Yeah, there's really nothing to complain about. And I feel like he responded the right way as well. And that was very mature of him to say, yeah, I've got enough money. And it's like, because some guys are like, yeah, give me all the money. And like people in general would be like that. But he was just like, yeah, I've got all the money I need. And he was like humble about it.
Yes. And he's very selfless because he also shouted out that he like his guys like Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed.
He wants those players to get paid.
L'Jarius Sneed is one that people kind of did not suspect. We love him in the Chiefs Kingdom. We thought that he's valuable, but just like the Creed conversation we had last week, the Chiefs haven't really invested money in a cornerback. We don't know if they haven't tried to get a really good one. And we have good ones. I'm not discounting the rookies that we had last year. They balled out. I think that's why people would be even more shocked if they were like, oh, you're adding another one?
Yeah.
Or we just drafted all those guys and you're keeping Sneed longer, and so are you just going to let like a bunch of rookies come and go and let Sneed be the consistent? Like, I don't know. We didn't think that the Chiefs valued him that highly, but if Patrick Mahomes name drops him in a press conference, same name as Chris Jones, then I think the kingdom could actually be surprised that a deal gets done.
Yeah.
And when the assumption is like, oh, there's no way they're going to pay him. There's no
Yeah.
way. It's like, we want him to be paid. He's great. He's a good person. He's good for the community. He's good in his community.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great player.
Yep.
So there's no argument here about wanting him.
Definitely.
And then the last conversation about no arguments that we don't want him. So earlier this off season, Frank Clark was released, and we've seen Chris Jones campaign for him online a lot. And then there's been some rumblings, if you want to call them that there is interest in bringing Frank Clark back. So I think as a Kingdom, we would be fine with it because we like Frank Clark. Say what we will about the money that he got paid and what he did or didn't do during the regular season.
Yeah.
But we can't argue that Frank Clark is one of the reasons we have 2 Super Bowls, and the Kingdom will always appreciate that.
Right.
So the question is, why would the Chiefs decide to do that if they couldn't work out something with him before to restructure this money? Keep him. You're going to get paid the same amount of the money as this, but just add 2 or 3 years on the end of the contract to make this money equal that, to make more with what you're valued at.
Stretch it out,
but did not want that. So the Chiefs would then be paying him a lot of money and then decide to pay him a little smaller portion of money to bring him back. And it's like, if you already cut ties, why are you going to talk and try to retie it when you already have these other loose ends?
That's what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, why would they like go through that process? Like, do they really think he is that valuable to the team to bring him back? And why did they let him go in the first place?
If he was so valuable, why couldn't we have found a way to work him out so there was no way that anybody would have a chance to talk to him before this time, before training camps start for non-rookies? And we have Felix that we just drafted in the first round. We signed Charles Minihue in free agency. Those are 2 defensive edges right there. We drafted another prospect in BJ Thompson. So like, we're already drafting defensive ends. So they might not be the name or the NFL quality because we don't know about them, but we have the numbers. So it's not like, oh, we need Frank Clark because we need bodies at that position. It's like, not necessarily.
But exactly.
You're still saying that he would be the best option. And if he was the best option, how come they couldn't make something work to keep him around
in the first
and
place?
help the money that they are going to have to like bite anyway? And now have that money, but then also have real cap money that you have to hand over. To make it work too. So I think the Kingdom would be down with it, but we'd be confused like which party wasn't able to work it out prior to this. If both sides wanted to work it out, who was the most out of control with their trade or with their requests that the other side just cut and said, no, we're done. So,
or it's a matter of somebody just didn't speak up, or he didn't speak up, or they didn't speak up, and they just let him walk away.
And if Chris Jones is doing all this campaigning, how much campaigning did he do during last season or the years before to say, I still want my guy here? And Frank, I know you might be dealing with stuff, but we got to work this out. You and I got to play together for the rest of our career if we can help it. Win Super Bowls.
It's very true.
So I think the Kingdom would be totally fine with Frank Clark coming back because we've seen that in the playoffs he can produce, and the Chiefs can win a Super Bowl with him. They probably, frankly, don't trust him regular season-wise to make it the full games and be productive throughout that. But if the Chiefs wanted to bring in Frank Clark to play that Carlos Dunlap role where you come in and you're towards the end of your career and you try to get some sacks at the end of games and win another ring, try to get some playoff sacks. But
Yeah.
during the regular season, you can try to have anybody else.
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, that was a great first segment.
It was.
We will be right back after a short break. When you return, we will be discussing my Chiefs history and the very beginning of season ticket membership.
What up, KC? On the heels of yet another Kansas City Super Bowl victory, we have an awesome opportunity for you to broadcast your business to the local Kansas City market. We've created something called Kansas City Sports Company, which is a sports media hub for multiple live shows, all of which cover all the local Kansas City teams. Now, we have 30-second ad spots, 60-second ad spots, we have event sponsorships, studio sponsorships, show sponsorships, and much, much more. This is a great opportunity for you to start early with us and broadcast your business to a very dedicated, very enthusiastic Kansas City audience. Contact me or hit the Contact Us link on our website to learn more about this opportunity.
Welcome back to the Home of the Chiefs podcast. If you were just listening, the first segment, we just had a riveting conversation about the current up-to-date Chiefs Twitter news.
Mm-hmm.
And this second segment will be predominantly my journey through Chiefs Kingdom as I was approaching the actual Arrowhead invitation of me to join them. And then if we have additional time, we'll go into some conversations around that 2019 season. But if we have hit a good time, we are going to save that for a future episode. And then more conversations around the 2019 into 2020 season for everybody else. So, all that being said, my Chiefs journey.
Get your popcorn.
So, I think as far back as I can remember, in young age, probably within elementary school age, no number really stands out in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember everyone around me being interested in something, getting excited about gathering as a family on the couch,
Mm-hmm.
going to a family member, like an aunt or uncle's house, sharing meals on the couch or next to it while TV's on in the background, or just being outside listening to Mitch Holthus on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents and my family are old enough to know when Kevin Harlan was the voice of the Chiefs and how many memories they have of Kevin Harlan talking over them. And you and I will always have Mitch Holthus' mouth and his voice narrating over whatever we're doing, trying to make it as epic as he would do it.
Oh, yeah. So
if there were chances we could watch it on TV and hear it and get to experience it, what Arrowhead actually looks like. But during those mid to late 2000s and even parts of 2010s, there was blackouts for the city we lived in. We didn't live within Kansas City's borders to get the games, regardless of however many people showed up or how good of a game it was.
Yes.
So because the Chiefs had the unfortunate of not being the best team over and over year after year, it became very sporadic of when there'd be good moments for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because they could have some decent regular seasons, but they never did anything within the playoffs. You never felt like they had the best team or the best quarterback, the best whatever to
Right.
beat every team.
They were never on like the top.
Yeah, when we were very young, they were like right there at like the team was really, really, really good, but they didn't have like the quarterback who could carry us and make sure we don't lose even when we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yep.
So it became like you'd hope every year that the team was insanely good to be able to win every game. And then the playoffs, we just have to see who we play.
Right.
So it was about the age, but I wasn't just mentally aware. But 2003 was a really good year. Dick Vermeil and Green.
Mean Joe Green?
No.
Trent
Trent Green. Quarterback Trent Green. They were firing and had great record and were cruising, and then they got stopped in the playoffs to lose a game where no team had punted the ball at all. So that was that heartbreak, and then it was a long could be wrong, but I'm thinking 2010, the next time they were playing a playoff game, and that was not even close. They played Baltimore Ravens, and I have like vague memories of watching that game from a Mexican restaurant TV.
Oh my gosh.
And like watching it like, oh yeah, they're not doing very good.
No.
And being still in that young mindset, like, okay, it's not important enough.
Yeah, just
go back to my chips and salsa.
That sounds good.
So I'd say that's how my fandom was. But like something about like 2013, that fresh start, Andy Reid coming in. Because I had some vague memories of that 2-14 2012 season. Like one of the wins was against the Packers, who hadn't lost the game the whole season up to that point. So it was very low, but the team had great players around it already on offense and defense. And 2013 came along, Andy Reid came on as the coach, and then something clicked in me that like I really should start paying more attention to this. Like the more nerdy aspects of it are more and more interesting. Now it's, as a kid, you just watch a ball get snapped and maybe thrown or tackled or whatever. You don't really understand what parts about it. And
right.
When you know the down distance and you know play clock and plays and what players are doing, what looks like they should be doing something on TV, they actually shouldn't because they're doing what they were actually told to do. When I started paying more attention to like, okay, I don't know if my team's going to be very good, but I'm going to pay more attention and just be along for the ride.
Yeah.
And it started off really well. I believe 9-0 to start the season in the first year. So that was a hell of a ride. And then the times we had to face Peyton Manning and the Broncos, that's when it was like, oh, I guess we're not on that level yet.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
We didn't have a Peyton Manning to help us out.
No. We had Peyton Manning several times say, you guys don't need to win games. Yep. We're like, okay, Mr. Quarterback, sir. So that 2013 season, we're moving along. Peyton Manning upsets us after Peyton Manning has a record touchdown throwing season on another level.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, well, the Chiefs are getting to be like a step below that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the year before that, they looked like basement dwellers because of not being competent.
Right.
But that first year, Andy Reid immediately had some stability and some discipline, some structure set in
Mm-hmm.
to where you could see like the immediate change because you knew the team already had some great players on it, and then they have a draft and we have some stars that we're not gonna like notice right away. But then Eric Fisher would be a big star for the Chiefs. Travis Kelce, obviously.
Yeah.
So then we made it to the playoffs for 2013, and God, that has a special place burned into my skull because I was actually here in Kansas City with family, like rented a hotel room, and then like to celebrate my mom's birthday, which takes place in January.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the first half of that game from the hotel room, and it were blowing out the Indianapolis Colts. Was not even close. Alex Smith was throwing dots. He could not make any mistake. And then most of my family goes, and they're like, well, we're going to go eat. Do you want to leave? And I was like, for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, I was trying to like convince my case. No, I want to stay here. And they're like, no, they're winning. It's fine.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
They'll be okay. So I reluctantly leave, watching the game from the hotel room, get in the car to go drive to another restaurant to go eat a meal. And like midway through that meal, the score had completely changed. They were no longer winning the game, and they were actually trying to drive down the field to not be losing or to lose the game.
Wow.
So say what you will about the Chiefs, whether they are the team it happens to or they are the team that just so happens to do it to other teams. But this team loves when there is a lead and then that lead is gone.
It's gone.
And then the other team is miraculously the one that has the lead all of a sudden.
Oh, man.
So
that is so frustrating.
So that year, that was a tough thing to swallow. Like, oh, goodness sakes.
Yeah.
We did this, and we looked amazing, and then it's just over.
It just poof, it's gone.
So 2014 rolls around. The Chiefs Kingdom and myself were like, all right, we have Alex Smith. Cool. Do we have another? Is there a quarterback you guys like in the draft? Who is it? Johnny Manziel. Do you guys want Johnny Manziel? Do you like Derek Carr? Do you like Derek Bridgewater? Do you like Blake Bortles? Do you like any of these guys? And I mean, who knows? Maybe in a parallel universe, Cleveland doesn't want Johnny Manziel, and the Chiefs actually select him with their choice.
Mm-hmm.
And none of this is the way it is. But they have Dee Ford, and Chiefs Kingdom can have their opinions about him one way or the other. That's who they got. That was the main contributors. And 2014 was the year that I graduated high school and moved to a completely different city off on my own to be in college to get a degree. And most of the 2014 season was kind of a blur. A lot of it, the games I watched from either my or other friends' dorm rooms or lobbies to dorm tours or whatever. So it was a 9-7 season. It was very unremarkable, except for the fact that Eric Berry was diagnosed with leukemia and had to get taken out.
Right.
So it was about like, I want to say November-ish when it was discovered, and then he was out, and Kingdom had no idea what was going to happen to him. We didn't make the playoffs, but like we had a lot of things go wrong that season. Derek Johnson and Mike DeVito Shout out KCSN. Both those
Mhm.
guys get hurt the first game of the season, and it's like, okay, what? We're just happy to string our way through this at this point.
Yeah, no kidding.
So most of that was a blur, and that was the Seahawks New England Super Bowl at the end of the year. I remember watching that from the dorms, and naive me was actually rooting for Tom Brady, and I will never do that again. And little me
Oh my goodness.
does not agree with that, but he did it. So 2014 season came and went, and then 2015 season, Eric Berry made his return, but the team started 1-5. It wasn't unsure what we were going to look like. We had just gotten Marcus Peters for the first round in that draft, and then the defense kicked butt. They stepped up hardcore. Eric Berry looked like phenomenal. The offense did just enough. Jamal Charles did his thing. They had just gotten Jeremy Maclin the year before that. Tyreek would be the next year, but Travis Kelce was just starting to make his stamp.
Oh yeah.
We didn't know how good he would be or how valuable Andy Reid would deem him to be, and appreciate the athletic qualities that Travis has to be able to exploit. But he was just some white tight end who was an athlete. So he does well. And boy, did you ever, Travis.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So 2015 season, that I had my own personal apartment, watched most of those games by myself there, unless went to see family or friends or whatever for games. But the playoff victory, when they won their first playoff game in over 20 years against the Houston Texans, the wild card, kicked off with a Nile Davis kickoff return touchdown, which in today's NFL might not occur anymore. But that was like the signal in my brain that, like, it's done. Like, we are different. Things have changed. We might not be like, oh, we have Tom Brady, we have Peyton Manning, we have Aaron Rodgers level of this. But like, Andy Reid is not washed. Andy Reid is not a bad coach. Andy Reid is not a bad time management. Andy Reid is a leader of men, and it didn't take long for it to like show itself, but it's taken a good amount of time to marinate to be as good as it has been. So 2015, they win the wild card game. And they play New England in New England, and that game was almost close. We really don't have any wide receivers that are doing much, and they really lose that game. And it's like, okay, that's about what I expected. The Chiefs did well. They won a playoff game. They lost to a quarterback that they probably were expected to lose to anyway. And then that was the Peyton Manning fell off a cliff, but still beats Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. So I had to be around some people who liked Denver Broncos.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, yes, congratulations. So get through that season. 2016 season, notable one for us. When we started meeting each other's lives. In that first year, you come to my apartment to watch those first games.
That fall.
And then being there pretty much that whole season, and then the playoffs. Cold watching it from our apartment, even then cold watching here in the Kingdom cold.
Yep.
Losing that stupid 2-pointer penalty game to the Steelers.
Yeah. Oh.
So if they had beat the Steelers, who knows what they could have done, because I talked about 2015 having a good defense. That 2016 was even better.
Yeah.
They were winning games by themselves sometimes. So Eric Berry, just Houston Tomlin, y'all could have had a shot, but we'd have to wait a few more years for our quarterback to come around.
Yep.
And then 2017 was we got Mahomes in the draft. We don't know what we're going to do with him. But we're using a first rounder this year and next year to get him. So say what you will, the Chiefs must like something about him.
Yeah.
Us who like college football, but don't say, oh, this guy is totally the best. This guy is going to be the best guy from college to transition to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't like the main ones being talked about.
Right.
So it was like half a shock to be drafted and to like have my team trade up 20 spots plus to get up there
Mm-hmm.
and get him. It's like I was busy working, not even at that time. I was like, oh, I've got a few hours until the Chiefs would actually select. And then it's like, nope, they trade up. Oh, okay. They trade for Patrick Mahomes II. Well, I got a quarterback. I don't know anything about him yet, but he's going to be my quarterback. And 2017 was like an Alex Smith breakout year and Kareem Hunt rookie year, breakout year. Firing on all cylinders. Offense looks incredible. And Mahomes is sitting on the bench just writing with his clipboard.
Yep. He's observing.
And then the playoffs for 2017 is an irritating one for much of Chiefs Kingdom. Still to this day, we'll still never get over this. The Travis Kelce concussion that keeps him out of the second half entirely. Alex Smith stalling and Chiefs wondering if they should put in Patrick Mahomes, even just to keep the season going as it was. Jeff Triplett deciding that Marcus Mariota falling backwards with the ball flying up in the air is actually him falling forward, and it doesn't count as a fumble, and all of Arrowhead refuses to accept that, and the man quits his job the following night.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And then Marcus Mariota catching a tipped ball to himself to score a touchdown. A la Andrew Luck had already happened to us in 2013. So Chiefs Kingdom was still feeling myself. It's like, oh my gosh, we're still stuck like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know who's to blame, but we're still not over this hump of like shooting ourselves in the foot or stalling or not doing enough to get a win. That 2018 off season where we're just starting to move out of our college town and begin our quote adult lives, and we settled here in Kansas City, officially moved into where we currently reside in August of 2018, just as the preseason was beginning. And I know that we had just gotten our bootlegged Patrick Mahomes jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
And we're able to wear them for the beginning of that season in giant throw in Atlanta preseason to all these games at home, sitting on our couch, me screaming my head off. Like, oh my God, this is my quarterback. This is my team. I remember conversations we've had years before that. Like, man, if the Chiefs ever play in the Super Bowl, I want to go be there to see it. And then, like, the 2018 season is occurring, and it's like, well, shoot, this happened faster than I was prepared for.
Yeah.
Dang, my team is getting to be this good, where they're setting all kinds of records. My quarterback is amazing. Like, he got hyped before he even played a game, and he was laughed at, and who was laughing now?
Yeah.
They saw something.
They did. They really did.
But we'd already discussed the playoffs of winning against Indianapolis here in a cold, iced Kansas City, and then losing to Tom Brady in a game we don't get the ball.
Yep.
So there we are at home after that, and I don't even know what had come over me, but I had just like sent out emails like, I'm interested in tickets. And then we had got a random phone call.
Yep.
At one random afternoon. And it was like, I heard you were interested in season tickets. And I was just so in the moment. I'm like, yes, I am. And discussed what we wanted. And I told them how much I would be willing to pay and where I'd like to be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And got that worked out. And we got a number price for the whole season that we're happy with what we get. And price has obviously gone up nowadays, but I'm still not upset with
Oh, yeah.
the deal and our seating arrangement and how much we
Definitely.
paid.
They are amazing seats.
But that has me remind that in 2014, there was a Thursday night game that took place in September here in Arrowhead, and my sister got a whole bunch of us second row behind Chiefs bench
Mm-hmm.
tickets. And
You were right
I
there.
love that freaking game. I went there with my best friend Andrew, and then it pretty much lost because of a Jamal Charles fumble, and then the game was over. And then we then had to drive now I know it's 2 hours, 2 hours to their house to stay with them. And it's like, oh geez, this is what it feels like to be in this stadium and experience a loss. Because I had been there like one other time in like maybe 2010 or 2011, something like that, a year they didn't win, they weren't good, and I was in upper bowl.
Yeah.
So then the fact that my sister had kind of spoiled me to that lower bowl,
Getting to
very,
see them,
very
like,
close.
right there, yeah.
We've kind of done the middle ground of lower bowl, but midway up. So it's not like exorbitant price, but you also get the benefit of being the lower bowl and seeing everything and experiencing everything.
Oh, yeah.
So thus concludes our wrap up of our histories prior to 2019. We've already discussed the process of how the membership came to be. So in the next episode between the two of us, we will go over that first 2019 Arrowhead experiences through regular season into postseason experiences, and before and after Super Bowl.
Yep. And then I've got that story that I will definitely tell in the next episode because it fits right in with that time frame.
Yep, I know. She said she was going to do it, and then I told her you can't actually do it yet because it fits more in this timeline.
It fits in that timeline better.
So you guys can be mad at me, and if you really want to know ahead of time, you can DM Shannon personally.
Yeah.
And ask her for all those information, so then you can play the spoiler or just stay tuned for next week's episode. So we hope
gotta keep you coming back.
That's right. And we hope you all do come back. And with that, we would appreciate any feedback and comments you guys may have for us or anywhere else on the network. Thank you so much for watching our Home of the Chiefs podcast presented by KC Sports Company. Enjoy your rest of the day and go Chiefs.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.